All right, everybody, what's up and welcome to your energy forecast for April and a little bit into May. Thank you so much for your patience on me getting this article out or this video out. My brain is totally scrambled and I'm just trying to ride with the waves of life as they come at me right now. And so as we all know, we're all human. Sometimes things happen and show up in our lives and we can't always be perfect all the time. That being said, if you're looking for very in-depth reading about the April energy in particular, I already have an article on medium.com. I'll post it up in the corner right here that explains piece by piece the energy that's going on for April. And so because I channeled for that energy 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and I wrote it all out, I'm just going to see what comes up here in the cards for this particular reading. And so it still feels like April energy, and I can talk about the eclipse because it seems like a lot of people really want to know what that is, but I'm going to pull some cards as well, and we'll see how we go. As always, if you like the video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel, as well as checking out my other work, like my articles on medium.com, as well as the book that I've written named Starseed Survival Guide. It's on Amazon, but I'm likely changing the name, so stay tuned for that as well. And I did my prayer before I tuned in, and so what is coming up primarily for the energy of April and the beginning of May, for the debut of spring energy, is this incredibly inherent need to root ourselves in self-compassion. A little stuck there. To root ourselves in self-compassion. And so, or compassion for others as well. I wrote in my article on medium.com that our two spirit animals for spring are orca, signifying strength and power and a willingness to be a little bit different, a daringness to be a little bit different, and deer, which is softness, gentleness, resilience in the face of challenge, and a gentle way in which we engage with people and this earth. And so this message of rooting in self-compassion and rooting in compassion for others really comes from this desire or this space to be able to understand that you're not always going to know anybody's full story, and you're never going to be able to truly share somebody's identical experience. And we all know that what we need on this earth right now and what we need our focus to be is on what we can do and we can change. So healing, motivation, support, opportunity for change, and transformation. And so when we're thinking about those qualities, we have to root ourselves in compassion. Otherwise, the foundation that we are going to create is going to be rotten. And so try and put that in your back pocket or, on your chest as you move forwards and as you engage with people who spark differences in you, who spark self-doubt within you, as well as having that compassion for yourself. If you did mess up in a certain way, or you're not as organized as you want to be, or you're just not quite ticking all the boxes as perfectly as you want to be doing. Root yourself in self-compassion, and that is the way that we will move from this very powerful Aries season into this rooting depth of very new beginnings in Taurus season in May. So for the eclipse, I said this in my Instagram. If you don't follow me already, it's Starseed Awakening Co. on Instagram. My Instagram's a little bit more personal, but I always post my astrology stuff there as well. And so the energy of the eclipse and the new moon, because the moon has to be new in order for there to be a solar eclipse to occur. It has to do with the distance from the earth. And so eclipses and new moon energies as well. But eclipses are always impacting change and impacting shifts that last longer than the one day that everyone has all of the hype about it, or everyone talks about it quite a bit. Solar eclipses, because they are so big and the solar energy is so big, tend to last about 6 months. And so allow that to feel like a ripple that has just begun. Are you beginning this ripple? Is your foundation? We're in Aries season. Aries is the first season of the zodiac, the first sign of the zodiac, I mean. And so we're at the astrological new year. We're at ground zero for astrology right now. Are the threads of the new foundation you're building habits of a life that you want to live, or your dream life? Or do you feel very sneakily, or sort of in a shadowy way, that you're repeating cycles? You're going back into something the exact same way that you just came out of it. That's really my main advice for eclipse, the solar eclipse and eclipse season in general, is that we have the opportunity to create new foundations and new ways of being in these periods of time. So can you make just one small change? And as I've mentioned in my previous videos, 2024 is a year of radical transformation. And so even if you find yourself repeating cycles, even if you try to go back to the same habits, you try to go back to the same familiar job that you found comfortable, you try to go back to the same ways of thinking that, feel sort of cerebrally familiar, it's not going to last in 2024. We are being so pushed and so driven. And if you're listening to this channel, you are most likely a light worker, because that's who I attract. And so our role on this planet is so much more than just the job we have, the amount of money we make, the place we live, et cetera, et cetera. It's about whether we're actually fulfilling our soul purpose. And in 2024, you're going to get threads of information about what that soul purpose is, if you don't already know. If you're interested and you want to learn more, you can always book a private reading with me. This is the type of thing that we can go through during a session. But it really is up to you to ask yourself, what is it that I truly want? When somebody asks me that question, and I'm only allowed to give one answer, and it has to be sort of like off the top of my head, the answer that I give is, I want to write. I want to be a writer. And I've known that for a very long time. I want to be a writer. I write every day. I don't get paid for my writing yet. I don't use writing as my full-time job yet. And I don't know if I'll ever always really be super focused on writing as a whole. Like, it's not going to consume my life, because I also value it very deeply. But I know at my core being what I'm going towards, or what I'm following, the breadcrumb trail that I'm following. And so 2024 is going to be the year where all of the veils drop if you're not in alignment with your soul's purpose. And no matter how hard you try to hold on, things will fall away that aren't meant to fit you. And so if you can let go, and then you can marry this idea of self-compassion in April and into May, you're really going to be setting yourself up really beautifully to be able to transition into this time of building, which is Taurus season and in May. So let's get to the cards. I had a deep urge to use the animal cards today, and so I'm just going to listen to that. Okay, so I've pulled a balanced, or a dual spread here, block and path. So the first card I'm going to pull is about the energy that's keeping you stuck right now. Okay, I'll post this in the video so you can see it more clearly. The card is Black Snake. The reading says, grow your truth. It's also got a rainbow scale that it's shedding out of. The block that is coming through for you right now, and these are for the last 3 weeks in April and the first week of May, so 1 month forecast of energy. is your unwillingness to fully embody who you are and who your truth is. And that's going to trigger a bunch of you, because I know that so many of you who listen to this know what you truly want to do. Or maybe you don't truly know what you want to do, but you certainly know what you don't want to do, and you're not willing to step out of that. And that is going to start to cause blocks in all sorts of situations. Life is a big web, and so everything is interconnected to each other. Your relationships are connected to your mental health, which is connected to your physical health, which is connected to your synchronicities, which is connected to the opportunities that come towards you, and the people, places, and things that appear for you to help you on your path. And so if you are in a place where you are not yet able to fully accept who you are and fully embody who you are at your core and start living that externally, I know it's scary and I know it's intimidating, but if you're not ready to fully embody who you are at your core, the next couple of months are going to be very tumultuous. And they will show you the lesson of who you truly are through that anyway. And so instead of greeting that heralding with fear, can you use it as an opportunity to lean into the wind of who am I really? And what do I want really? And I'm not suggesting that you need to quit your job and you need to manifest your dream life in 3 weeks or whatever. I really don't believe that that's the way that we need to move forward. It's not very realistic for most people, because most people are dealing with ancestral trauma and physical trauma and relationship trauma and sexual trauma and all sorts of things that all these beautiful people on this planet are dealing with right now in this lifetime. But can you maintain your status quo? Can you maintain the relative safety that you have and start looking, turn your energy and your focus and your direction towards your soul's purpose? You know, if you really want to be playing music full time and you work as a server, are you playing shows somewhere? Are you talking to other musicians? Are you putting yourself out there? Or are you sitting in your room playing music every day and then telling yourself that you're going to be a famous musician, but you're never actually engaging that energy that you're creating and putting it out to share? So use the energy and use the awareness of who you want to be or who you truly feel you're meant to be, and lean into the wind of that for the next 3 weeks. And the path, the way forward for this, the way we're going to move through. Yeah, okay, so the card is called Spring Peeper, and the sentence says, evolve into your next becoming. And so the word that keeps repeating itself over and over for this is the word acceptance. Can you accept yourself in all of the ways that you are right now? You know, not if I could just heal this one thing, or if I could just be a little bit different, or if I could just look a little bit different, you know. And these are all the things that I have within myself. You know, if I just looked a little bit different, then I would be more accepted. Or if I didn't have this weird trauma thing that makes me act this way in social situations, then everything would be perfect and aligned and everything would be easy. And, you know, in order for us to move into this Kundalini space of who we truly are, we have to get used to the weird feeling of embodying who we are a little bit more every day. And so to clarify, what I mean by that is, you know, if you want to become a famous soccer player, for example, can you become comfortable with being the person who carries a soccer ball around all the time because you're really focused on your goal? Or are you afraid that people are going to laugh at you or make comments or judge you or whatever for being the person with the soccer ball? That's the type of acceptance I'm talking about when we're talking about evolving into our new legs, our new ways of being, our new versions of ourselves. The people who are meant to support you are always going to be there for you. And the people who are not meant to support you will fall away. And truthfully, all of the people in the middle that we tell ourselves these stories that they are the ones that are judging us, they really don't give two shits. They really don't care. Most of those people in the middle, all those people who you really feel are going to judge you or reject you or whatever, they don't care about what you're doing. They just want to live their own lives. And so for that small percentage of people, that small fat at the top that we're going to skim, that you trigger, let them be triggered. That's a lesson for them in and of itself. And the people who are meant to support you will stick around in no matter what iteration you take. And so again, with April and 2024 being this year of everything falling away, if you find yourself losing friends or relationships or things are sort of crumbling at the seams, they're meant to. And you have to allow or try and allow for there to be space for the things that have crumbled to fall to dust before the new opportunities come. So if you're in that space where you feel like things are being lost, remind yourself that there's always a phase of being in the ashes before that new growth can show itself. For the general collective, for the global violence, because I do feel like I need to speak to that, there's the card that came up as like a shadow card, but it's a shadow on all of Gaia. We're living in formidable times, in awe-inspiring times, and it's awe in difficulty as well as in reverence, as well as in gratitude. We're living in very deep times right now. And so with this shadow of the planet and the violence and the way to navigate it, if you are here at this time, and if you have incarnated at this time, you are within the warrior cohort of this generation of Gaia. And by warrior, I don't mean fighting for change or fighting for whatever. I mean warrior in the sense that you are a soul that is willing to stand up for what's right, to continue through challenge, to persevere, and to allow your heart to be in whatever you do fully. We are warriors in the sense that we have a resilience within us, as well as a determination and motivation to bring a better energy forward for the planet. And so the card that I got was the Salmon Stream card in reverse. And what I mean by that, or what this card means by that, is that it does feel like we live on Earth at a crazy time, but it's because we are living on Earth at a time where everything is changing. I really don't believe that we're going to head towards a spinning, molten rock of nothingness. And I also don't believe that the systems that we have in place are going to stay up forever. We are moving towards a better space. We are moving towards a better sense of change. I was at a concert last night surrounded by people who were all very rooted in the Gen Z era. And I've never felt more held, supported, welcomed, understood, and not judged by a giant auditorium of people before in my life. So that's the dog. There is hope for the future. And it's important for you to know when it comes to the global chaos, because we are living in chaotic times. That's how change is created. There's turbulence. You are of the warrior cohort, and you are meant to bring forward the message that you have of hope, peace, love, and resilience in this lifetime. And so it doesn't have to make it all better, but it hopefully can provide you with some solace or some reminder of the fact that you signed a soul contract. You signed up to be incarnated at this time. And you wouldn't be here if you weren't meant to be part of this global shift towards something much more deeply positive. All right. I've got one card for April and one card from May for the other deck, and then I've got one card to wrap. Yeah, okay. So I've got the Abundance card, Lakshmi. This is a busy time. It's a very busy time of year. Aries is a very busy time of year. I spoke about this in my previous reading, that it's sort of like being pushed out and we're just sort of on the go. And although a very common word we hear is burnout, what I want to offer instead, or to replace that thought, is what if the busyness that you're feeling, or the movement that you're feeling, or the sort of continuous flowing that feels a little bit challenging to navigate, what if that's your opportunity to create a new level of abundance? And so in order to do that, we need to have strong enough boundaries so that we know when to rest, we know when to self-preserve, we know when to say no, and we know when it's safe or unsafe for us to bring people into our lives or help a friend or whatever. Can you, with boundaries in mind, think of the energy of this month as providing you with ample opportunity to create the abundance that you want to be able to enter the next phase of your life? Maybe that means taking extra shifts at work. Maybe that means not going to as many shows or concerts or coffees out as you used to. Maybe it means thinking about the trip you want to take, or the item you want to buy, or whatever you want to do that will allow you to move towards your goal a little bit more clearly and succinctly. So bring in the framework of abundance building for this month. Aries, Ram, moving towards what we want to be making. Bring in this energy of abundance for April, and remind yourself that when you are stretching with boundaries in place and with conscious choice in place, you're allowing yourself to create more opportunities for abundance. And as we move into May, for the energy of May, and as we start to enter Taurus season, there's gonna be like a massive like snap in consciousness that's going to come around the end of April. I don't always give timelines, but when it's collective like this, it usually feels safe. The card I pulled was the Owl Awareness card. And you're basically gonna have like a cognitive level up. You know, like all of a sudden, it's like you're gonna wake up one day and everything feels super sharp and super clear. And that is because of all of the things that you've been doing for the past 6 months, the past year, the past 8 months, whatever, that past chunk of time. You've been building towards this shift. And usually our energy starts to change before our physical body can catch up. And so you might be feeling the beginning of that shift already. And that might just feel like chaos right now. But there's going to be this sort of like cognitive snap, this cognitive awakening where all of a sudden everyone's going to just like wake up a little bit. You know, it's like when everyone got the hang of pronouns, or got the hang of, I don't know, like more equality. You know, we've still got a ways to go in a lot of ways in terms of our systems, but at some point, you know, the collective just sort of catches on to stuff, and then things just make more sense. It's like how many more shops now have their clothing mixed in their rows because they're trying to be more gender neutral. They're trying to give people an opportunity to just dress to express themselves instead of being so stuck in the binary. And so look forward to that consciousness awakening in May, and bringing that energy of self-compassion from April forward. Give yourself some grace if it makes things feel a little bit raw at the beginning. Sometimes when we're faced with awareness, it feels really ugly and it feels really uncomfortable, and we feel really unattractive or unworthy or undeserving in ourselves because of what we're being shown. But usually when that awareness comes, and it can feel like cold water, it means that we're also being flushed clean of all of our previous habits and being given an amazing opportunity to move into a completely different state of being. So look forward, look with openness and with open-heartedness towards that cognitive shift coming in May, and know that there is a collective sort of flipping over that's going to happen where people are going to become a little bit more awake. And for our last card here, our closing card, words to part with. Right, okay. This is for, I imagine everybody who takes care who watches these videos, most of you are nurturers, most of you are caregivers, most of you who are people who are very giving and very empathic. I got the curandera healing card in reverse, and so the healer card upside down. And what's coming through for the energy pocket of April and May is that if you consider yourself a nurturer or a healer or whatever it is that you feel that when you give to people, it's literally time to shut that off for 6 weeks and only give back to yourself. And what I mean by that, I don't mean become super self-centered or become super self-focused or, become a tyrant. But usually empaths and healers and people who are really loving and trying to make this world a better place don't have that problem anyway. So shut off the valve of being a healer, of being this person that provides for everybody else for 6 weeks. And if that feels uncomfortable, do it for 1 week or do it for 2 weeks and write it on your calendar. I've got 14 days to take care of myself. And then when I'm done those 14 days, add another 14 days and then add one more round of 14 days. That's all it is. It's 3 rounds of 14 days. And see if you can allow yourself to bring in the energy that you're curating for the next month, because it is going to be so essential. And if you can bring that energy in, you really are going to be in a very, very different space in the next coming weeks. I've started to level up what I'm doing personally for my private coaching, the programs that I'm planning to offer, the way I'm navigating as a spiritual business and a healer out there on social media, because I can feel that this shift is coming. And I'm going to have to show up in a different way to help navigate and provide for the people who are making these huge leaps in who they've been. And so if you identify as a healer or a nurturer or an empath or a people pleaser or a caregiver, can you just for a short amount of time, 6 weeks is so small in the span of 1 year, can you flip that giving and just give back to yourself for that short amount of time and allow yourself to be the healer that you're meant to be, who knows how to fill their own cup? So that is all I have for you folks today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience on the recording of this video. Sometimes life just gets in the way and we don't always get our stuff out on the exact time that we're hoping. So I hope this still provides some solace for you. It is for the final 3 weeks in April and the first week of May. So 1 month of energy forecasting. And until next time, check me out on medium.com, find me on Instagram or Facebook, or consider leaving a comment on this video. Take care. Blessings.